Hello and welcome to Unfiltered with Matt. In today's video, we are going to review episode 7 of Queer as Folk. So let's get started with our review. So in this episode, we get to see that Brody is really, again, pissing people off, and I guess we're supposed to maybe feel bad for Brody, but I don't feel at all bad for Brody at all. He's upset with Dadius for, being with Noah, and I don't understand why, because Brody had left Noah. We know that there was a preview of hey, they were proposed to. We don't know how it ended, but right now, I really don't see Brody's perspective at all. I think Brody was gone, like I said. So he decides to do drugs, and he goes through this trippy experience. He sees this dog that transforms into almost like a Scooby-Doo kind of appearance. He sees Julian getting his salad tossed through a window when he's looking at a dinner party that they're having, and he's envisioning this not really happening. There's flashbacks to Babylon that he's going through. I would say that there's some good effects in this. Mingus, he has his mouth open up with all these teeth. There's like a growth in Brody's arm, which is like a key from like a piano that he pulls out. He's like a puppet being controlled. Almost like NSYNC, it reminded me of one of their videos. Noah and Julian are having sex on the couch in front of, the parents. The scene overall made me glad I didn't do drugs. He's going through this trippy scene. I'm not really sure what he's learning here. Overall, that's the beginning of the episode, with Brody going through this, and again, I don't feel bad. You say someone betrayed you, but look how many people you betrayed. Come on. As far as Julian and Brody, they talk. Brody says Julian was treated better than him. Brody tells Julian Julian wanted to be the center of the attention. Brody's just like, whatever. He goes, and then Julian, does stand up to him, and he says, hey, you hired a guy to have sex with me. And Brody at all cannot understand Julian's pain. When Julian was saying, hey, you don't know what it's like to be, someone who's disabled. He's an asshole, right? It makes me dislike Brody more because he gave no sensitivity or thought to Julian's perspective for a while. There was one brief second I thought, oh, he's listening. But no, not at all. They start pushing each other back and forth. And then Brody pushes Julian on the ground. Noah sees this and throws him out. We see that Noah and Julian are still together in this episode. I find it sweet that Noah is supporting Julian in his goal and dream of becoming a flight attendant. Because Julian never thought it was possible, and Noah helps Julian finally pursue that dream. There was some awkwardness when Julian has to meet Noah's friends. Now, the awkwardness for Julian was not only between meeting Noah's friends, but his own friends. His own friends can't believe that, hey, you're dating Noah, this attractive guy. And, it takes Julian back. And then Noah's friends can't believe that he's dating Julian. They're like, where's this hot guy? And then he's like, oh, here he is, Julian. And they're like, oh. I'll be like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be here. Some of the things that happen at the dinner party, with Julian not feeling the most comfortable, actually reminds me of when I went on a date. My ex at the time invited me to this party where there was lots of, I would say, well-to-do gay individuals, lesbians, and all that. And he felt uncomfortable, wanted me to go. And he's telling his, experience with education, studying abroad. I went to local community college, no shame, no shade. And, they're really interested in that. So he walks away and leaves, and then they ask me, after I already had said what I had done, which at the time I was like a supervisor at the company I currently work at, and, he walks away and they say to me, so how did you get invited here? And I was like, oh, so my ex, and I said his name, he was invited and he asked me to come along. And they're like, oh, that makes sense. And I was like, you little bitch. But at the time, I didn't say that. I internalized and cried inside. So I can understand Julian. Very awkward, meeting. It's always awkward to meet friends and try to have that, combination of your two lives that you're merging together. I said it in my notes, I would die of embarrassment, but I already know I've been through this. I survived, but it was very hurtful. So Mingus gets his HIV test in this episode, and it's, a very nerve-wracking experience. I feel like, after watching Pose, if anyone hasn't watched that, go ahead and watch that. He leaves and with his friend there, to support him, and he says, oh, looks like I'm not positive, blah, 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 and walks away. And then right now, I'm just thinking, Mingus has been sleeping around with lots of individuals, in this moment, I'm thinking, thank God he's okay. So Mingus goes from the appointment to Babylon, performs on stage, seen by, I think, Bussy, I think that's drag queen's name, and starts crying. And, confesses to Bussy that he actually tested positive for HIV. And my heart dropped. It's very difficult news to receive. Even though I have not personally, received that news, I have known friends or people close to me who have received it. And I think it's just, watching that, brings me back to that feeling of, being there for them. And then the drag queen Bussy confesses that she has it too. And Mingus is right now going through a wave of emotions, asking, like, am I ever going to have sex again? And all these other things. And Bussy says, like, I want you to perform again. I really do. What that you just showed on stage, all that pain is really, going to bring out in your performance. And Mingus is also scared to tell his mom, how she's going to react. So there's where we get with Mingus in the arc in this episode, and it's a very fortunate journey for the character, going through a lot. Let's see how things go from here. I mean, we only have one episode to go. So much. We're not even sure if we're going to get a season 2. Disappointing. So, a lot of things going on. So, we also get to see that Cher and Brenda are hanging out. And this relationship gets complicated, which is another good thing for the show, to add some other kind of dimension and things, a shot in the arm that the show needs. I never thought about these two characters getting together, but as they interact, I can see kind of the appeal and attraction that they have. I did like the banter between them, talking about back and forth. This is something we never saw between Cher and Ruthie. Those two characters have, like, the connection that Cher is having with Brenda. Brenda doesn't want to get a divorce. She confesses to Cher because then, her life is already over. What does she have to look forward to? Brenda basically says there's nothing on the other side of divorce. And then Cher replies, well, you're pretty hot. And I think that takes Brenda aback. And as she tells her, she's grabbing her leg. Later, Brenda decides to sing a song on their, I was going to say date, right? It's not meant to be a date, but basically turned into a date. And, Cher goes from like, oh my God, you're going to be singing, to, wow, I'm really impressed. I'm feeling something for this person. There's this hot energy going between them. And then they have sex. Of course, at the same time, Ruthie is getting into the motherly instinct in bad timing, which is what Cher has wanted all along. So Cher comes to Ruthie crying when she comes home. And she's crying that the kids called her mother, or mom. She promises Cher, hey, I promise I'm going to show up for you. I promise I'm going to be here. All while Brenda's texting Cher. And I like the tension here. Bad timing on Ruthie. Girl. Cher has obviously been waiting for this the whole time. And the minute that you're pushing away and going towards Brody and messing up everything, Cher now leaves room for her to go and, see that there's other things on the other side. So we're going to see in episode 8 if we can get all this drama kind of wrapped up and see what happens. So when Brenda and Cher are talking, they also kind of go back and say, like, back to their conversation, they know what it's like not to get emotional support from their partners. Brenda from her husband, and I guess Cher from Ruthie. When Brenda gets home after the date and hanging out with Cher, she texts her, or them, she texts them, and doesn't get a response from Cher. She goes into the house and she sees Brody crying, which I don't feel bad for you, Brody. Sorry, your tears are not going to work. But Brenda goes up, hugs Brody, and I feel bad for Brenda in this scene, because she's confused about, like, there's this new exciting thing happening, and there's this and that, now her son's in pain, and, she thought everything was over, maybe looking at everything from a different light now. Like, is there a possibility? Do I want to let this go? I really have nothing here. Now I do have something. And, that's where we get to leave off with that drama between those characters. I mean, this review is very short because, a lot of things were happening, but very quick to see, all these things and developments for these characters. Overall, I found this episode very enjoyable. I really like the tension that's being built here, and more growth for Ruthie, though it was short in the episode, her coming more connected as a mother and her responsibilities. Hopefully Brody's going to learn from this. Brenda and Cher getting together is really good. Mingus being diagnosed with HIV, unfortunate, but we'll get to see where that goes. I feel like so much momentum is building, and we only have, like I said, this one last episode to go, just when it's getting good. I would just wish there was more episode in the season. The creator said that season 2, they want to focus more on secondary characters, but I'm not sure if that's the right choice, because we really haven't even got to know really the main characters that much. I mean, look at Brody. All I see is that he's a jerk right now and messing up everybody's life. Not so much character development there. So I would like to see him grow a little more, us learn about him a little more. I think there's more to learn about what happened between him and Noah. And maybe, I mean, every single time they show him and Darius, all I get is like, hey, they like to do drugs. Hey, they like hanging out. Hey, they both like having sex with people. I just feel like every single time that they add to Darius and he's there, I just get more like, I don't even know what to do with you. So if Brody's going to be like a similar character like that, I'm not sure how much I'm going to tolerate or like that. So hopefully they get some development around Brody. So I'm not sure in season 2 if it's a good idea just to focus on, if you do have a season 2, just the main characters. So, I mean, especially if they're not likable like Brody. So they need to turn that around. I would like to see Brody. I would like to have sympathy for him, but all he does is cause pain. So what are your thoughts on episode 7 of Queer as Folk? We only have one more episode to go. Did you find it upsetting with Mingus and his diagnosis? Are you excited for Brenda and Cher to get together? How do you feel about Ruthie finally coming to an epiphany that, she's happy to be a mother and commit to the family? Bad timing, Ruthie. Bad timing. So, thank you for watching today's video. I hope you liked it. Subscribe and leave a comment. Hit the notification bell to get notified of our next video. We only have one more episode to go, so we're excited to finally get to review the episode and then put our final thoughts on the season 1 of Queer as Folk. So thank you, and until next time, stay safe.